Hello, my beautiful warriors. So, how are you? It's the end of March. Can you believe that? So, thanks for everyone watching on the replay. And let's just take a moment. I'm going to smudge us all. But let's just take a moment and think about how far we've come. We're out of the winter, well, at least in the Pacific Northwest here. Daffodils are up, the pussy willows are blooming, and April 12th or something is the Tulip Festival. So here we have progress, but how are you feeling? No? Are you noticing that you're a little tired? Are you noticing that you're expecting things to happen and maybe they aren't happening? Well, tonight I want to talk about the ability to have resilience and to never give up, no matter what. One of the things that I say is it doesn't matter when it happens, it only matters that it happens. So think about this. There's something on your heart. There's something on everyone's heart. Sometimes we just do this thing where we don't acknowledge it. And, oh, hey, thanks for being here. And but it's on our heart nonetheless. And so sometimes these things that are on our heart that we don't acknowledge become unconscious, because they're not acknowledged. That's all consciousness is acknowledging something, noticing something. When you're conscious about your motives, when you're conscious about your desires. Earlier today, I was talking to someone in another country. It was so fun. And they were talking about this or that. Oh, should I do this or should I do that? And there's a beautiful word that we all use all of the time. And the long word is ampersand. What we do is we think that we can only have one thing. Oh, I could only have that. But what if that belief is wrong? What if long time ago, when maybe your parents didn't have any money? So check this out. Hey, Lorraine. So a long time ago, you were at the store with your mom. Your parents didn't have much money. And you asked for something and they told you, I can't afford that. Or we don't have money for that. That impression on you when you're 3 years old, 4 years old, well, probably 4, 5, and 6. That impression left an imprint on you. And you may even be living out of that imprint that actually is no longer true. And those are our unconscious beliefs that we live out of. It's not our fault. We were given beliefs like we can't afford that. And then we take that on as if it's true for us as well. That was the circumstance at the time. And even if things get better and there's lots of abundance and they can afford things, we still act as if that one incident is going to rule our lives. So I'm sure if you just take a moment and you think back, there was a time when you wanted something and you got turned down. And that impression that, oh, I can't have what I want. And if it happens repeatedly, it's ingrained in us to actually begin to believe that I can't have what I want. Well, what if it's not true? Because that circumstance isn't true any longer. Thanks for the love. So that circumstance isn't true any longer. And yet we're still living out of it as if it's our truth. So take a moment and just give yourself a smile about that. And maybe it has never occurred to you that this is what's happening, that we're living out of beliefs that don't serve us. They don't make our lives more joyous. They don't make us more happy. They don't make us more abundant. And we live in shame and blame and guilt because of an incident, a circumstance that is long past, and yet we're still on that hamster wheel, going around and around and around. Only because, and that causes us to give up, right? After a while on the hamster wheel, you're just like, all right, uncle, I've had enough. But what if you have misinformation for your own true life right now? That information that you got back then isn't serving you. And they're probably no longer in that circumstance either. But there's a part of us that holds on to the experience. And it's in every cell of your body. That experience was imprinted on every cell of your itty-bitty body. So when you go to get something, that imprint that you have of, no, we can't afford that, is still there. Hi, Ted. Good to see you. So we live out of a circumstance that impressed us enough that we now have a belief that we can't afford it, whatever it is. But that is misinformation. And we oftentimes build our lives out of misinformation. Like, you can't afford a boat. You can't afford to buy a house. You can't afford a meal. That's too expensive. And out of these old paradigms that we were given decades ago, doesn't matter whether it was 1 decade or 5 decades ago, we still tend to live out of that. So let's re-inform ourselves about what we're capable of, which is anything that we don't give up on. So it doesn't matter when you achieve what you've set out to achieve. It only matters that you achieve it. You know, no one is keeping score about, did you achieve it by 21? Did you achieve it by 41, 61, 81? There's no one keeping score. I find that very freeing. That, you know, I'm launching a shift in my business. I'm very excited about that. I'm not exactly sure how it's all going to look, but the thing is that we are born to change. You are not the same as you were last year or the year before or even yesterday. There are something like 30 billion cells that when you go to sleep tonight, in the morning, they're not there. Kaput, you pee them out. So you are not you're not even who you think you are. So as your body is changing, without you even knowing about it, without you even having to do anything about it, let your attitude change. Let your behaviors change. You know, if you were to run around acting like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old who wants something in the grocery store and telling yourself that you couldn't have it and then pitching yourself a little fit, that just doesn't work anymore. Internally, you might be pitching that little fit, but is that serving you? You know, so when you have a desire, Here's how I maneuver through my life and these things. When I have a desire, hi Tina. When I have a desire, I believe it comes from spirit. It just doesn't come from my ego. And so the desire is compelling for me to achieve it, to get it, whatever it is. Because behind me, right at my back, is spirit pushing me in that direction. So I don't make any judgments about whether it's tiramisu or whether it's a bottle of wine or whether it's chocolate ice cream or whether it's taking a course to further myself. They're all the same desires. Some are just more expensive than the others. So when we take the judgment off of us having longings and desires, and we just look at it like, oh, I have a desire for a chocolate cookie. And there's no judgment. We're in this place of accepting our desires. But even more than that, think about this. Without you going out and getting that chocolate cookie, I didn't say 12 chocolate cookies, but that chocolate cookie, without you doing that, spirit never gets that experience. So maybe you've been a little restricted on yourself about what you're going to allow yourself to do. Oh, thanks for the love. So if you have been constricting yourself, thinking that when you want something, it's lowly, then think about it differently now. Spirit is calling you for these things. Spirit is asking you to actualize these things. And there's no judgment on spirit, whether it's a Tesla or whether it's a Toyota. They don't have a judgment. Our small brains have the judgment. So when you have a desire, tap in. Just 1 second. I have a desire for a sip. There's my guy Tigger. Okay, so when you have a desire, this is going to allow you a lot of freedom. When you have a desire, imagine that this is spirit actualizing, spirit fulfilling something. And as long as you don't hurt yourself or anyone else, and that, that's for you to decide, like maybe that chocolate ice cream is going to be harmful to you. Well, then find something else. Life is full of, oh, this is so good. Life is full of choices, all kinds of choices. And when you tap into spirit, then the choices that you make are in alignment with your soul, with your heart, and your mind. The thing about our minds is that sometimes we've got to train them. Train your brain. Train your brain to look for synchronicities. Train your brain when you have a desire. Train your brain to start to look for it showing up. For me, I'll be driving along and I'll be thinking about something and I'll see a hawk and I go, oh, must be true. Because to me, well, hawk is one of my guides. So to me, that's an outside of me showing up to say, yes, you're on the right track. So, and there's other ways of knowing that you're on the right track. If you've ever had a session with me, what happens is that if something important gets said, there's a siren or dog barks or the phone rings or something like that, there's an external sign for right alignment. So begin to look more for the right alignment, recognize the signs, and make them personal to you. They're not everyone else's sign. No, mine is hawk. but that's not everyone else's. Maybe, who knows what yours is. But look for those signs. And because we are meaning-making machines, give it a meaning that's beneficial to yourself. When I see hawk, I'm like, yep, I'm on the right track. Or I'm having a thought and I want to must be true. And so for me, that's my rudder out there in the world. So find something for yourself that when you're thinking of it and you see something and it's the same something and you start to notice it, because when we begin to notice ourselves in the world, this is where we begin to change. When we are pushing and we're calling ourselves bad or wrong or stupid or any of those other things that maybe you were called, because no one knew better. And when you find yourself doing that to yourself, then just take a little moment to be kind to yourself. How do you learn? Do you learn when someone is berating you, or do you learn when someone explains it to you? Your style is unique to you. I mean, there might be 10,000 billion other people who do it just like you, but it's unique to you. So figure out your style. You have a style of learning. You have a style of dressing. You have a style of speaking. You have a style of doing your hair or not doing your hair. You have a style of how you live. Up until recently, we haven't even used that word for anything other than clothing. But now there's lifestyles, there's, So what is your style? And it's going to change. So don't go, oh, no, I've got my style. My style is this black lighter. That's it. It's always going to be this black lighter. And now I figured it out. Because hopefully through all of your years, do you have the same style that you had when you were 12 years old? Some people do. Guys do this a lot. I kind of feel sorry for men because they get a hairstyle and then they're like ready, stuck with it for the rest of their lives. I feel really honored and blessed that I can, have ringlets if I feel like it or not. So figure out your own style. And when you have a desire, do not be mean to yourself about having a desire. Do not judge your desires. They're just desires. There's no weight attached to them. And when you do that, when you accept your desires and you truly understand, embody that your desire is spirit calling on you to take some action, it makes life a lot easier. It doesn't mean that you go and eat the whole chocolate bar. It doesn't mean that if your desire, thanks for the love, if your desire is cake, that you go and eat the whole entire cake. But this ability to have a desire and then fulfill your desire without overdoing, taking care of your own needs, it's a truly freeing thing, because then you know that you're the one who takes care of your own needs. You're not looking outside of yourself for someone. If you say, bring me some pie, but really what you're talking about is bringing me some chocolate pie that has whipped cream on the top and those little black things on top of it, the chocolate sprinkles. And someone shows up and they bring you apple pie. You might not have given them enough direction. So get specific. Your desires are very specific. I know, I know exactly how I want my coffee. Exactly. So, and you know exactly how you want your coffee too, or whether you want your coffee. So get clear on your desires. Never give up. It doesn't matter. 5 years is going to go by anyway. So you may as well have a desire and keep moving in that direction. Because doing nothing is going to get you nothing. So and it doesn't matter what your desire is. Your desire can be that you want to become someone who does manicures. It can be that, when you want to climb a mountain. There's no, this is lowly and this is highly, so go for that. None of that. Just what are they? And then put them in front of you so you have something to go towards. And as you're going towards this, give yourself rewards along the way. Don't wait till the end. Oh, when I get this big project done, when I get my house clean, then. No, clean one room, give yourself a reward. Clean another room, give yourself another reward. Don't have to make it to the end to be able to reward yourself. And life becomes much more interesting, exciting, entertaining. And what's that other word that I was going to use? Hey, Thomas, nice to see you. Yeah, so your life becomes more engaging because what you've done is you're taking steps in the direction of your desire. And sometimes you feel like your desire is getting further and further away. Then take a moment and take a breath and reassess. Is this still what I want? Is this still a desire that I have? How many times have you gone out looking for an ice cream and by the time you get to wherever you're going, you've talked yourself out of that? It happens, right? So your desire changes. Of course they're going to change because your needs change, because how you see yourself changes. So never give up on your desires. Figure out what they are. They're completely unique to you. You might think that they're exactly the same as somebody else. Oh, we desire a blue car. But then you find out that the other person desires a blue car with like a mega stereo system. And what does that say? Hey, Tara, nice to see you too. So great. So when there's two people, when you're single, you don't have to consider anybody else other than yourself. You got a desire, you go for it, you do it, you don't do it, whatever. But when there's someone else, then you get this beautiful part about, blue car, yes, booming stereo system, and this kind of seat, and it's got to have this. But if you don't talk about it, you'll never know. And the same is true for yourself. If you don't talk about your desires with yourself, you will never be able to figure them out. Hi, Michelle. So have some I call it sit and sip. So sit with your favorite cup and sip. And as you're doing that, ask yourself, this is a perfect time to do this, because right here, remember, this is spring equinox, and here we are creeping along. Ask yourself, in the next 90 days, from there to the very bottom, right back there, in that 90 days, what can I create? Don't, the whole year thing, that doesn't really work. Because, we set our goal right up there at winter solstice. And if I over here, February 1st, they're all forgotten. They're down the drain. We haven't made it to the gym. And then we feel bad about ourselves from February to March. And then we go, oh, well, it's spring. So what can you accomplish in the next 90 days? And write it down. And then move in that direction. Giving yourself 100% encouragement. What was the other word I was looking for? Drive. You know, like my daughter says, give her. So give her for 90 days, 3 months. And with an intention and focus, you can achieve a lot in 90 days. So what are you looking forward to achieve? What for 90 days can you possibly not give up on? Well, I have to tell you, I'm so proud of myself. I am on a 59-day streak of Duolingo. I'm learning Spanish. Now, I found out that one of my mentor's wife, she is like on a 500-day streak. I'm like, okay, all right, awesome. Yep, I can do that. So if I can do something every single oh, pooey. Look at, so I don't know if y'all remember, but way back here, hey Bam, way back here in 2020, I started drumming at spring equinox. I drummed that entire year, missing only 4 days. So we all can do something every day. You brush your teeth every day. Why do we make something so special? Every day you brush your teeth, but this thing that you want and it takes action steps toward it, oh no, I can't be doing that every day. Aren't we fascinated? We're so fascinating. I'm having another sip. So when you don't give up, you know, your goal can change, it can morph a wee bit, but when you are always going in the direction of your desire, maybe it's a beach house, maybe it's, you know, like whatever it is, because there's so many desires, right? It would take us the entire rest of the year to list even 1/3 of them, because we all have desires. And a lot of us don't even want to tell ourselves about our desires. So get yourself your favorite bevy, whatever it is, without judgment. And imagine sitting down and listing 10 things that you desire. And then one action step for each of those. And you might even find that when you list them, that some of them dovetail together. And so when you have this desire over here that you're taking care of, this one over here is also getting moved. So as you do that, these 10 desires, you don't have to focus on all of them for the next 90 days. Choose 2, choose 1. Just make a choice, just 1. And then see, what does it feel like when I'm moving in the direction of my desire? Give yourself rewards. I'm going to show you one little goofy reward. Okay, see this little reward? I took some things to Staples. And as a reward for getting them there, getting it taken care of, getting them sent, I gave myself a reward. So it doesn't have to be any big thing. You don't have to take yourself on a week vacation because you got one thing accomplished. But you could. And think about this. If these 10 things were to get accomplished in the next 90 days, and you said, when I accomplish these, I am going to give myself, I don't know, a 3-day retreat. Imagine that enticement, or sailing, or a book, or whatever. But that enticement, and here's where it's really beautiful. When your desire overcomes your inertia, and sometimes fear paralyzes us. So when your desire is big enough and it overcomes this, you will achieve that. So have big, hairy, audacious goals. Don't have small little ones. Don't be reasonable. Do not be reasonable. Be unreasonable. Set things higher than you even think you can get. What do they say? Shoot for the moon and you'll land on a star. Well, I say, let's go for Saturn or Pluto. So set big, hairy goals, because even if you get halfway there or all the way there, you've achieved something amazing in your life, because it's important enough for you to focus on. Let go of all of the trivia. Let go of all the bullshit. Know what's important to you. And don't spend any more time on this stuff over here that is low frequency, that drags your energy down, that is gossip, and isn't elevating your spirit. No matter what, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Doesn't matter how many times you have to let it go, just keep letting it go. Imagine that, you can put your hand on it and it gets lower and lower and lower until it's gone. Because what you focus on expands. And we're here right now, I do believe, to change up some paradigms, to shift to where we understand what's important to us. And when we actually talk about it, Pam was in one of my courses with me, and what we did was we focused on our non-negotiables. And you may have never even thought about this, because up until 4 years ago, I hadn't thought about it either. But there's 11 different things. There's probably way more than that. But you can know your non-negotiables for a car. And as a matter of fact, people probably know their non-negotiables for a car more than they know their non-negotiables for their work, for their family life, for their lifestyle, for their career, for their relationships, for their home, for their garden, for the books they read. I mean, you can just go on and on and on for all these non-negotiables. Yes. So Pam says, so many of my non-negotiables have changed. They're mostly more unreasonable. Yeah. Well, when you understand that you can have a non-negotiable and you can say no to that, now that is not acceptable. Then what you do is you raise the bar. Oh, that's not acceptable either. And pretty soon you're living out of this high frequency, because so much of what's out there sucks your energy and pulls you down. So when you begin to say, not my circus, not my monkeys, and then figure out what your circus is and where your own monkeys are, then your focus becomes on embodying the best that you can be and sharing from that. Your heart radiates out 360 degrees. So get yourself a bevy, sit down, do it tonight, don't wait. Get yourself a bevy and go and sit down and figure out your non-negotiables. And yes, everything is accessible with action steps towards desired outcome. Yes. Yeah. So as you move forward, you learn more about yourself. Also, the other thing that happens in my courses is you have a spirit guide. You have a spirit guide for your non-negotiables, so that when you're coming up on a new situation, you can journey with your guide and say, okay, so what are our non-negotiables for this? It's a beautiful process. So, all right, let me see. Anything else for this evening? Thank you for being here. Thanks for the chat. I appreciate that. And it makes it more interactive for sure. I think the way to make it super interactive is for us to do like a Zoom room together, so that we can do this. You can look for me every Tuesday evening at 7 right here, because this is where I'm going to be. Hopefully imparting wisdom that helps you maneuver through your life, fulfill more of your desires, and do it from a place of having a big open heart with big hairy goals. So thanks everyone for being here. And let me just tap in and see if there's anything else. Oh, wow. So that was so beautiful. So the vision that I just got is that each one of you is like a flower in the garden. Choose the flower that you want to be. Wow, that was lovely, wasn't it? All right, everyone. Have a fabulous rest of your evening, and I will talk to you next week right here, same time. And I'll see if I can figure out how we can actually have some interaction, because that would be just really lovely. And if I need to do a Zoom room, oh, could you do me a favor? If I need to do a Zoom room, thanks for all that love. Would you be willing to pop in there? So just give me well, you can give me lots more love, but give me a thumbs up that you'd be willing to pop into a Zoom room so we could have a chat. I'm just going to wait a second while you pop your thumbs in there. Great, great, great. That's what I needed to see. All right. One thumb is good enough for me. All right. Ooh, and love. All right, everyone. Have a fabulous rest of your evening. Bye-bye. And fulfill your desires. No one else can. Bye.